Okay, we're back, guys. Back at the house, ready to attack a few more sauces, or if you want to consider them condiments, that's up to you. Let's walk you through the first sauce that we're going to make, right over here. So this is going to be our first chutney. We're going to make a couple of different chutneys in this series, but this is our first one. This is going to be a pear and ginger chutney. I'm going to serve that with a pork chop. So you're going to get a couple of pears. I think in this variety you're going to get Bosc pears, but any variety is fine. So pears, some yellow onion, chopped garlic, chopped or grated ginger. In this case, is grated. And then we have some. Again, in this case, we're going to have some golden raisins, but I think I'm going to get you some regular raisins. We didn't have any golden raisins at school. We have a little bit of red chili flake for some heat, some mustard seeds. Tough to see here, but we have some apple cider vinegar, and we have some sugar. And everybody goes in the pool at one time. So this is all going to go into a saucepan. Now I've got a fairly heavy-duty saucepan right here because we are working with sugar. However, any saucepan is fine. Pardon me. Any saucepan is fine. So we're going to get that turned up. And like I said, everybody goes in the pool at one time. Raisins. So this is going to create quite a bit of liquid. The pears, of course, are going to break down. Onions, it's all going to have a little liquid in it. The vinegar. We weren't going to put all those mustard seeds in there, so we'll put maybe, I don't know, maybe a couple teaspoons of mustard seeds in there. Some red chili flake. I can already smell the vinegar. It's actually starting to get to me already. And some sugar. So maybe about a tablespoon or so of sugar, kind of depending on the ripeness of the pears. If the pears appear to be really, really ripe, you can put a little bit less sugar in that mixture, and that's fine. So give that a stir. Now sugar is going to be acting as a liquid as well, so that's going to cook down. We won't need to cook this too long. In this case, the pears were relatively ripe, so total cooking time might be about, I don't know, 8 minutes or so. So we're good to go. And we want to kind of bring that up to a simmer, up to a boil. Break those pears down. We can certainly put a lid on it. Let me grab a lid real quick. It's kind of a makeshift lid, but nevertheless it's a lid. So you can see that it's kind of simmering a little bit. All right, so we're going to turn that down to low. Pop that lid on, and we'll let that go for about, again, maybe 12 minutes. Again, depending on the ripeness of the pears, will kind of determine how long you need to cook that chutney for. We're done with that. Now, we're going to serve that with a pork chop. So while that's going, just kind of another rule of thumb, try to have something going on the stove while you're working on something else, maybe chopping or prepping something. In this case, we want to get that pork chop going. So in this saucepan right here, or excuse me, saute pan, going to add some olive oil. Have a nice center cut pork chop right here. Again, we're going to season to one side pretty generously. And the cracked black pepper, which I love. Okay, so that's going to go in the pan, again, kind of away from us. We've discussed this a number of times already. That's going to go down the pan away from us. And then we will add a little bit of salt and pepper to that other side. Now, ideally, we want to get, again, some really, really nice color on there. So, again, we discussed this with other preparations. Just leave it be. Don't agitate it. We want to see some color. We can actually watch the progress of the pork being cooked as it moves up from the bottom to the top, almost like a piece of tuna. Okay, it's very, very similar color. Let me wash my hands real quick. So you can see it's definitely smoking a little bit, so why don't we turn down the heat just a tad so we don't get overly ambitious with the fat, getting too hot. We're going to take this, we're going to finish this as we have done with, again, several other preparations in a relatively hot oven. In this case, about 400 degrees. Get a pair of tongs here. And this will take approximately, let's see, that's a good 1-inch thick. I'll bet this takes at least maybe 10 minutes in the oven after we flip it over and pop it in there. On a count of 3, let's flip this over. 1, 2, 2 3/4, 3. Okay, that looks great. Okay, so we're going to take this, we're going to go into our oven. We'll set a timer for 8 minutes. Let's do that. When we come back after 8 minutes, that chutney will be ready to go, and the pork will be ready to go. That way we're not having to wait for anything in particular. So when we come back, we'll plate up that pork, and then we'll also move on to some other sauces. See you in a couple minutes.